thanks for watching the tie-dye DIY. Today we are making this lovely shirt here. We're going to be using all natural ingredients. We're going to be boiling some food up and making our own dye. It's really cool. I had an awesome time doing it, and this is the final product. I kind of messed up. I didn't follow my own instructions, and so that's why my pink color is a little bit more faded than I would like it to be and than it should have been. So please make sure you followed the directions properly and in order. What I did was I didn't let the shirt dry completely before I put it in the vinegar bath, and so I think that the vinegar sort of sucked out the color. It didn't suck out the yellow. The yellow was very bright, vibrant, but the pink and the orange are a little bit less vibrant. So basically what we're doing is we're going to be making 5 different dye colors. We're going to be making orange with onion skin. We're going to be making yellow with turmeric. We're going to be making purple with purple cabbage, and then we're going to be adding baking soda and lime juice to the purple dye, and it changes the acidity and it changes the color. It's super cool. I'm also going to show you guys a few different techniques to roll up the t-shirts to make different patterns. This one was just a very traditional spiral pattern. This is a long DIY. You have to let the dye sit in the shirt for like 6 to 8 hours. Then you have to rinse it out, let it dry. Then you vinegar bath it, then you let it dry again, and then you wash it in the washer. So, and it takes about an hour to make the dye itself. So it's a long one, but it's worth it. It's really cool and it's really fun. If you guys don't want to make your own dye, I've also left some food coloring options. I'm not going to be showing how to do the food coloring ones in today's video just because it's just diluted food coloring, but the recipe can be found on the cards that I dropped off at your house. If you are following this tutorial and you did not sign up for this DIY, then you don't have that recipe, but basically I think it's 10 to 20 drops of food coloring in like 1 cup of water. I'll see if I can post it in the comments or the description or something. So let's get started. The materials that you're going to need are a bag of onions. We're just going to be using the peels, so you want like 6 or 7 onions to get enough peels. Half a head of cabbage. This is going to be used for the purple dye, the blue dye, and the pink dye. Baking soda. We add this to the purple dye to make the blue dye. Lemon juice, preferably use a real lemon or a lime or something. I've given you guys limes, but this is all I had right now. A bunch of elastic bands. These are going to be used to wrap your tie-dye and create those cool patterns. Food coloring. This isn't the food coloring that I'm going to give you guys. I'm going to get those little droplet shaped ones, but this is all I had in my house. I'm not going to use that today anyway though. And then a large white t-shirt has been given to all of you guys. If you're someone who received the parent box, the large t-shirt is in the parent box. And then we just need some turmeric. This is going to be used to create the yellow dye. A plastic bag, something that you can fit the t-shirt in when you're finished dyeing it, because it has to sit for a few hours. Then you're just going to need some pots to boil the food and make the colors that you want, and a great big bowl. So first we're chopping up our cabbage. The way that the purple dye is going to come about is we're just going to boil the cabbage, and the water, it becomes the dye. So I think I added 4 cups of water here, whatever the recipe says. Then I just peeled a bunch of onion skins. If you're not going to use the onion right away, don't peel all of the skin off so it's white, because it might go bad faster. Again, here I added about 4 cups of water, although I will say I think that in the onion skin dye, the water evaporated, so you might want to add a little bit more water. Then for the turmeric, you're going to add 3 cups of water to the saucepan, along with 1.5 tablespoons of turmeric powder. Be very careful when you're using turmeric powder, it stains very easily. I just wanted to add a little quick disclaimer for people who haven't used turmeric before or haven't used it a lot. It stains everything. If you're doing this with a kid or you yourself are kind of clumsy, I wouldn't use the turmeric unless you're very brave. It stains everything. If you're stirring it with like a spatula and the spatula is anything but black, it will stain your spatula. Or maybe stainless steel, but you might have to like rinse it immediately. It's very potent, and I used my hands and now my hands are stained a little bit yellow, so that's cool. It makes a really awesome yellow, it really does, but it's very messy, so I just wanted to put that in there. Okay, then you're going to put everything on the stovetop, all these pots with all of your colors and food and water in there, and you're going to bring them all to a boil and then reduce to a simmer. The turmeric stays on simmer for half an hour, and the cabbage and onion peels stay on simmer for 1 full hour. You can see here some of the colors they're making. Okay, I have a theory that this is going to get very messy, so I'm going to put down a tarp. Once all of your dyes are ready, you can transfer them into containers. I would use glass containers or containers that are already stained. So the purple dye works as the base for both our blue and pink dye. We're just going to change the acidity, which changes the color. It's really cool, you'll see in a second. I'm just separating the purple dye into 2 different containers because we're going to make 1 blue and 1 pink. I'm just going to strain the onion peels to create that orange dye. There it is, all finished. Okay, so here I've added a teaspoon of baking powder to change the purple dye into blue. You can see the color better outside in the sunlight. And here I'm just adding the lemon juice to the purple to create the pink. This was truly my reaction. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. Okay, so now we're outside and we have our dye ready. I suggest doing it on the grass or over a tarp. You don't want to stain your deck or your front porch or anything like that. Here's a shot of the blue dye looking a lot better in the sunlight. You can combine a bunch of these colors on one shirt. You can make like a rainbow, or you can actually just dye it one color. Like if you just want your shirt to be yellow with like a pattern on it, that's totally fine. You can just make yellow. First, we're going to be doing a very simple spiral pattern. Basically what you do is grab a section in the middle and just twist it around itself in a clockwise or counterclockwise shape like that. And then you're just going to secure it with the elastic bands. I would recommend using 2 of these elastic bands in the same spot, or a thicker elastic band. Also, this is the one that I did, and I would have used more elastic bands if I had to do it again. And it ends up looking something like this. The second option that we're going to do is the scrunch. Basically what you do is you just scrunch it all up. It's very random. It creates a very random pattern, and just secure that with elastic bands like you did last time. Again, I would use more elastic bands than that. And this is the effect it's going to give you. Thirdly, we're going to do this multiple twist. Basically, you're grabbing different sections, twisting it around, and then securing each section with elastic bands. And this is what your shirt should look like afterwards. And then lastly, we have these vertical lines. So you're going to put the elastic bands in whichever way you want the lines to run. So if you want horizontal lines, you're actually going
to fold the shirt vertically, but then you put the elastic bands on horizontally. Do you see what I'm saying? And just going to repeat that all the way up the shirt. And hopefully it'll turn out something like this. So you're going to take your shirt that's all bundled up and you're just going to pour dye, or you can dip it however you want to decorate and make a pattern. Basically I did pink in the center, yellow on the one side, and then orange on the other side. Another cool way to do this would be with a squirt bottle. If you just squirt it randomly all over, it'll create a more random pattern and you can get more colors on there that way. You have to use quite a bit of dye because it has to penetrate all the layers of the shirt. And here's what it ended up looking like. And then I'm just gonna put that in the plastic bag, and I let it sit out in the sun for about 6 to 8 hours. Here's a shot of the blue dye. I wanted to show you guys something with the blue dye on it. It's really, really cool. And there's another one of the pink. Okay, so after you've let your shirt sit in the sun for 6 to 8 hours, you're just going to rinse it out. You can go ahead and take those elastic bands off and rinse it in cold water. You're just going to rinse it until the water starts to run clear. At first it'll run, whatever color you've dyed your shirt. Once the water starts to run clear, then you can stop rinsing it and let it dry. Here's a sneak peek of how the shirt looks. Okay, this is where I went wrong. You should let the shirt dry at this point, then put it in the vinegar bath. You can see that when I put mine in, it was still wet. That's not right. Let your shirt dry completely before you do this second step. So what I've done is mixed 1 cup of 5% vinegar. This is double strength, but I diluted it, and 4 cups of water, and then 2 teaspoons of salt. There's a lot of different resources that say that salt is best to preserve the color on cotton, which is what this t-shirt is. And then there's some people that say vinegar is the best, but there are recipes that use both, so that's what we're going to use today. Again, use your best judgment. You're supposed to let it sit for 1 to 2 hours, but if you see the color bleeding out a lot, maybe take it out. Okay, then you let the shirt dry again, and then wash it in the washing machine separately from other clothing. You don't want it bleeding all over your nice clothes. And this is what it looked like in the end.
Thanks guys for watching. Send me your pictures of your tie-dye once they're done. I really enjoy seeing what you guys have done, and I hope you enjoyed it.